Greg Tepper, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and TexasFootball.com here at the THSCA Leadership Summit in Arlington, here with the man of the hour, the man of the power, Stephen Mackey. Mackey, what's up, dude?
What's up, brother, man? Great to be here with you, man. Glad you guys are here.
Yeah, happy to be here, and you just got off the stage giving your keynote address here to an enormous crowd gathered here at the Esports Arena. I know you talk in front of a lot of different audiences, but how'd today go for you?
It was awesome, and what an incredible venue that the Esports Arena is, just to see all of this, and man, it is first class in every way. Matt Wilson, those guys are just over the top. But man, to have coaches from across the state of Texas, not just in the DFW area, who have come up to say, hey, I want to grow as a leader. It shows their commitment to the profession, to their craft. And to get to share today, I get to talk about a really difficult topic, and that is sportsmanship. And we've seen the rise of issues from player ejections, fan ejections, a decrease in the quality of relationships between officials and coaches. And so to bring up an uncomfortable conversation and to say that if it's going to be better, it's going to start with us. It's going to start with coaches. And so to really have that uncomfortable conversation was very well received. And it's one of those that, and it's what I love about coaches, is we don't have to shy away from hard things. But instead, those hard things are things that are going to make us better. And so they leaned in, very receptive, and it's going to be an exciting thing to talk about over the next year as we start working towards helping to solve that issue.
You talk to different groups all across the state, really all across the country. This is a group here gathered that are, you mentioned, all across the state, but also all different backgrounds. They're also all different sports. Each of these schools are in different situations. Can you kind of tell me a little bit about the challenges that has to talking to an audience like that, but also maybe the opportunities that represents?
So as you think about, the Texas High School Coaches Association, for the longest time, it was the Good Old Boys Club. It was a Texas Football Coaches Association. And the work that the association, Coach Martin, and all of the staff have done over the last few years, they've worked so intentionally to make it truly an association for all coaches. And this event represents that. And so we've got to be mindful to not just use football examples. And even though all of the other sport coaches are smart enough to make those connections, it's a matter of respect and showing respect to the hours they put in and the sacrifice that they make to say, your sport is no less than any other. And so you want to be intentional about your language, and then to see the way that the association is very intentional with who the speakers are. And so you start to see speakers like Coach Harris. You start to see speakers that represent different sports, and they represent both physically and in the sport that they coach and the backgrounds they come from, what the association represents, which is all coaches across the state of Texas. And so it's been a challenge, but the growth that has happened in the last 3 or 4 years has been phenomenal. And the exciting part is that the growth is not done. It's going to continue to evolve and to look more and more just like the coaches in the state of Texas.
And somebody who kind of views the THSCA from the outside as well, I'll tell you that one of the places that I feel like the THSCA has really made enormous strides. I feel like you see more women in this audience than you've ever seen before at there, and I know that that's been an intentional part of what the THSCA has tried to do, expanding that footprint. But from up there on the stage, I'm sure you can see that as well.
Absolutely. So you see more women in the crowd. You see more women joining the association. And as you walk around at coaching school, you see more and more women. You have now, I think this year there'll be not one but 2 volleyball courts. Don't quote me on that, but definitely the volleyball court, the basketball court. So you're seeing all of these sports represented. Every sport that competes in Texas will have at least 12 hours of continuing education at coaching school. Every single sport. You see the women in coaching panel has been elevated to be on par with the D1 coaches panel. So it's not just the big dogs from football schools in Texas. Now you're bringing in the Judy Conrads of the world, those who have the equal status in women's sports, to come and to let that be on par. And so those things are just really important, because women coaches and coaches of female sports are every bit as important as football coaches. There's not a tier level. A coach is a coach, a kid is a kid, and the work they do absolutely matters.
And finally, kind of to wrap you up, you've really grown along with this organization and the relationship that you have with this organization. What keeps you coming back to stay involved with an organization like the THSCA?
I mean, I said it when I walked onto the stage, that this is a room full of my heroes, of my people, that wake up every day and give their very, very best in service of high school athletes and middle school athletes. And I am here for anybody that's about that. I knew from an early age that I was going to work with high school athletes. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know the path that I would take. Could have never guessed this, but just call it the way God made me. But there was just something inside me that said, I'm going to work with students. And these people have that same passion. And so, man, I want to do everything I can do to give the very best of me in service of them as they help and serve kids. So.
Were you more nervous going out there on that stage, or were you more nervous about this interview?
Listen, I was really nervous to meet the WTF ladies. Look, I mean, I see them online, you know, we've talked and stuff, but like to meet them in person, like, listen, I may be 6'1", 290, but I'm just a giant middle school kid. So
exhilarating, right?
It's very exciting right now.
Mackey, appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, bud.